So the agenda of the webinar, I will first give you an introduction about the reason why ABIS decided to explore this partnership with Elanto, and then you will see how this digital business academic collaboration works. If you can go on the next slide. So I'll explain you why we're going to experiment this platform. Two basic diagrams that you will have the opportunity to, maybe you already seen if you attended our colloquium in November, but definitely you will feel more comfortable also during our where these things will be presented to the General Assembly. On the left side, you can see what is the new framework that ABIS decided to develop since the adoption of the UN Global SDGs. And you can see the type of activities that we create in order to support business and academic members for sustainable development. You can see on left and right side the main support that we offer to our members in terms of business model and corporate governance, but also in knowledge and research. And today we will present you a partnership that is related to the second circle that you can see on the diagram on the left. And it's strategy and leadership and talent development. Indeed, this platform has been chosen together with the guys in Elanto as the best digital tools to support our member and the students of our academic institution to develop the needed skill for achieving the Agenda 2030, but also to more globally what is the theme of sustainability. More or less a first description of how this platform works. You can see that professors are in the center of all the process, since they become the gatekeeper of any type of collaboration. Everything is framed around the SDG, in the sense that we will support company to define challenges related to sustainability and more globally to all the target defined by the SDG. So we have lost the presentation for a second. Timo, can you hear me?
I can hear. Jose Luis Hernandez is also sharing something. Now I have switched back to the ABIS Elanto Academic Business Cloud, but maybe
I'm going to give you. Okay, so everything should be okay now. So I asked to the rest of the participants to avoid any sharing of their screen during the presentation. So Timo, if you can go to the next slide. So I will hand over the presentation now to Timo, that, as you can see, is the co-founder of Elanto. So Timo, if you want to give a brief introduction of yourself, and then you can start your presentation.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Marco. Hello to everybody from let's go sunny Barcelona today. We had some terrible weather down here, I guess, as the rest in Europe. My name is Timo. I'm the co-founder of Elanto. Elanto has been around for the last 4 years. Myself and my partner and CEO, Christian, we have founded Elanto with the aim to increase student employability and to gap between the school to work transition for bachelor, masters, but also other students who are looking to incorporate themselves in a quick and oriented manner into the labor market. And we saw that there's an opportunity to connect academic programs to industry challenges. And we have built a technology to facilitate this connect, and this technology is called the Academic Business Cloud. Also from the Telanto side, we are very excited to enter into this collaboration with ABIS, opening for us to work with interesting academic partners and of course the corporates, particularly oriented towards the SDGs. So this will be an exciting, well, it's actually been an exciting start into this year, and it looks promising to remain like that for the rest of the year. Now we have 20 minutes of a presentation that takes typically a little bit longer. So if you are wondering why I am talking a bit quicker, then it's because of that. Now, if it becomes too quick, I'm happy to keep an eye on the chat, or if somebody holds on the right-hand side and try to slow down a little bit. Now, for you as a general frame, I already said that we're connecting academia to industry, more specifically university-industry collaboration, and even more specifically, we connect industry challenges into the classroom, into the teaching, so into the actual academic programs, so not necessarily into typical or well-known research activities. We start off with the fact that companies have lots of unsolved challenges. You come across from time to time companies who say they don't have challenges. I think we can all agree on this statement. And a statement that has become more and more true, well, I think it's always been true, but there's more sensibility and sensitivity to the subject of real-world experience and with real-world problems in order to have them obtain additional or different competencies, more transversal, more entrepreneurial, maybe even, but also competencies that go more into the future skills 2020 and so forth, talking about effective collaboration and creative problem solving and so forth. Now, given the fact that there's lots of challenges out there in the companies, and now students learn from solving challenges, for us this was basically a no-brainer to build a platform, a technology that facilitates this collaboration. And we're basically talking about a triple helix, right? That starts with the students who learn by solving challenges, gain experience through solving them, and can also get to know future or potential employers that they can already make acquaintances with and show their potential in daily life. Faculty is able to incorporate challenges into the course programs in an easy manner. All the professors on the call is that methodology of action learning is by no means new, but by all means it always has been very cumbersome to find the right at the right time with the right fit, with a lot of moving parts and the right amount of challenges. So it hasn't been adopted in a broad manner because of a lot of additional work, and the academic business cloud addresses a lot of those aspects. So faculty to include the challenges into the academic programs, extend the alliances that are already there. I mean, we're not pretending that there's no industry relation out there until we or ABIS have come along. Of course, they're there, but how they're managed, how are they put into a process where everything is managed in a structured and maybe even a standardized manner, so it becomes easy to evaluate challenges for their fit and the way they are supposed to be incorporated into the course. And lastly, of course, develop talent, develop the students, develop the competencies, be it leadership competencies or competencies that are designed to address the SDGs. Of course, there's a third party, industry, right? So industry is very interested in strengthening the ties with academia. A lot of industry representatives, however, don't know how. Even if you ask individual professionals within big organizations, alliances are very often not very actionable to an individual manager in any line of business, because there may be a lot of red tape around that, or maybe even waiting queues in order to get your challenge into academia, right? So we're addressing this via the Academic Business Cloud, and I'll show you how in a second. Now, also for companies, of course, it's first and foremost very interesting to see how can I bring my challenges into my university alliances, and how can I also extend my current alliances to more, because I have, as we already know, lots of challenges, and I may also want to get several solution proposals for the same challenge, because I may get different ideas from different places and universities. Lastly, of course, I want to see who's out there, where are the next bright students that I want to incorporate into my workforce. And this is, of course, a very privileged manner to access the future workforce that isn't even in the labor market right now. Now, why an academic business cloud? There's a need to create transparency now from the inside out, right? So you're all a part of faculty or program manager or program management or the like. There is a need to make it transparent as to what is the offering that a certain professor, faculty, department, or university has in terms of the opportunity to engage with challenges by industry. Right now, there is little to none opportunity to do that, and we're changing that. We're also changing the aspect of introducing end-to-end processes that make it easy for professors to launch a call for challenge or call for challenges, to evaluate challenges, to have the students on the challenge that they most like, on creating the teams, in overseeing and supervising the collaboration, leading into the evaluation of the solution proposals made in line with the learning objectives that the academic program foresees. And from a greater university perspective, also see how do I get my students into a paid employment as soon as possible. Universities, if not all, are most likely part of rankings, where this is an important part of the number that stands next to the ranking as to how quickly students are transferred into a paid job employment. Why now? Myself, because we had this slide now for about 2 or 3 years, and probably it's why now and why not yesterday. Probably the better question is basically down to 2 aspects: faculty and technology. Starting with the technology, I mean, technology gives us today all the opportunity to bring in virtual challenges into the classroom, to also scale the industry alliances that we have right now. It doesn't have to be always the company that is in front of our doorstep or part of my private or professional network. It can now also be contacts that are yet to be made, acquaintances yet to be made, and of course also to reduce the workload of the cumbersome dealing of different formats and sizes and ways industry partner used to engage with academia. Moving forward now, Lanto, why is the academic business cloud the solution of choice right now? Looking out there in the scenario, there are hardly any players in this space now. Without handing ourselves any laurels, which I'm not going to, but why do we think this is something novel and interesting to engage with? There's the academic business cloud gives opportunity to engage in a multi-role-based system designed for professors, for students, for digital mentors, for academic admins, program management, but then of course also on the other side on industry, challenge sponsors, and other roles that make the engagement for university alliances from the point of view of an industry partner very effective. Our user experience, there's the opportunity to collaborate completely virtual. Not that we say that any personal contact should be avoided, by no means are we pretending this, but start to engage with companies anywhere in the world or anywhere in Europe, or a company is maybe in the same city in Brussels and Brugge and Antwerp or wherever. You may want to take advantage of technology that is intuitive and allows a certain collaboration, so you can manage your engagements in an enjoyable and fruitful manner. You want to have transparency over where can you engage, where can you evaluate challenges that come in, where do you want to promote your call for challenges to. So it becomes a very dynamic setup. I mentioned it already briefly. Now here also in an image. In % of the cases, everything starts with the professor who publishes or publishes a call for challenges. What's a call for challenges? It's stated it's an academic program translated into wording that a industry sponsor would understand in terms of why would I commit time and resources for an engagement with teams of students, what is in for me and what can I bring to the table in order to make this engagement beneficial for both parties being the students and the industry representative, and of course an extension the professor. Now, once this call for challenge is the industry partner can review and understand, are those bachelors, are those masters, when does the course start, when does it end, what are the expected, what are the learning objectives of the course, and also what is it that is going to be produced that could be of value to me? Is there going to be a concept for adopting the SDGs, or are there actual prototypes of ideas being produced in other, well, of course it depends on what academic program are we looking at. Is it programs that we can actually do experiments, or is it rather a business science where typically maybe there's a paper as an output? So challenge sponsors are able then to put their challenge forward to you as a professor, so an evaluation can happen whether the objectives industry sponsors put into the challenge can be met by the competency level of the students, but also within the timing that the course needs to happen can be achieved. Based on that evaluation, then to admit or to reject the challenge. In the case of accepted challenges, then bringing those challenges also in front of the students. Have them also tell you on what challenge they would like to work on, and incorporate those preferences into the final team creation, where you get proposals, but of course you as a professor remain in charge or in control of how the teams eventually look like, leading into a kickoff session on site or via Cisco WebEx or the likes, leading into a collaboration, where we at Zalando have seen over the last 4 years many different collaborations. So we've seen best practices and malpractices as to what works, what doesn't, what leads to high satisfaction on all parts and what doesn't. Typically after a 90-day period, 75-day period, really depending on how long you think a challenge collaboration would make sense for the learning objective of your course. There typically is a function where solution proposals are being handed over to the industry sponsor, leading into a co-evaluation academically and from the industry side. So the students can take away a certificate with the endorsements of the challenge-based collaboration, which typically lands in as part of a CV, employability of the student as such. Now there's 3 minutes left before the question answers, leaving me just enough time, I hope, to give you one very specific example of a challenge collaboration that has ended about a month ago. It was about sustainable entrepreneurship. It was a master class that took about 14 weeks of challenge collaboration. It was a rather big course with 85 students distributed in about 17 teams, more or less. Now, the professor admitted a total of 8 challenges to the course, all of which related to the bigger subject of sustainable entrepreneurship. So some of the companies were startups, some of them non-profit, some of them in the profit area. Also, a rather big foundation looking into plastic waste recycling procedures, and also a big elevator manufacturer from Switzerland. We said over a course of 14 weeks, major milestones were the kickoff, a midterm, peer-to-peer conversation with the professor, where the challenge sponsors had the opportunity to voice their concerns, or let's say highlights, but also lowlights in terms of the collaboration. So there was still enough time in order to control and steer some of the teams into the right direction. Then leading into the final presentation, which took place over the course of an entire day, given the number of teams you can imagine, where he was also present, where then the eventual evaluation took place. And between the challenge sponsor and the teams, there was a more dynamic interaction. Typically, we saw weekly or every other week call engagements, in addition to the usage of the collaboration space that is offered by the academic business cloud, where in discussion groups and to-dos and so forth, the work was assigned and supervised.